In 2019, I bought a house for $1. One single dollar. Everyone told me I was the luckiest man alive. But by the end of that first week, I understood why nobody had lived there for 11 years, and why every previous owner left in the middle of the night. This is what happened. My name is Daniel Mercer. I was 34, broke and desperate. I had just gone through a brutal divorce, lost my apartment, lost my savings. I was sleeping on my brother's couch in Cleveland, Ohio, working a dead-end warehouse job, wondering where my life had gone wrong. Then one evening, scrolling through my phone, I saw a listing that stopped me cold. A house, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a full basement, a backyard, price, $1. At first, I thought it was a scam. Nobody sells a house for $1, but the listing was real. A government tax seizure auction. In a small town called Harlow Falls, the house had been abandoned for 11 years. No previous owner stayed longer than 8 months. The town wanted it gone. They just needed someone to take it. So I called the number, and 3 days later, I owned the house. I drove to Harlow Falls on a cold October morning. The town was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that doesn't feel peaceful. It feels wrong. The house stood at the end of a gravel road, surrounded by dead trees. Old, dark, watching. The realtor handed me the keys without making eye contact. I asked her why the house had been empty for 11 years. She paused, then quietly said, "People just didn't feel comfortable there." I laughed it off. I didn't believe in ghosts. I needed a home. So I moved in that weekend. The first night, I barely slept. Old houses make noises, creaking wood, wind through the walls, pipes knocking. At least, that's what I told myself. But on the second night, I heard something different. 3 knocks, slow, rhythmic, coming from the basement. Knock, 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 then silence. I grabbed a flashlight and went downstairs. The basement was empty. Concrete walls, dust, a rusted water heater, nothing else. So I went back upstairs, telling myself it was just the pipes. But on the third night, I woke up at exactly 3 a.m. My bedroom door was open. I always closed it before sleeping. Always. I got up and shut it again. But on the fourth night, I woke up at 3 a.m. again, and every single door in the house was open. Every cabinet, every closet, every room. I stood frozen in the dark hallway, heart pounding in my chest. And then, from the basement, I heard it again. 3 knocks. The next day I started asking the neighbors about the house. Most people refused to talk, but one old man, Mr. Calloway, invited me inside, and he told me everything. The house was built in 1947 by a man named Eugene Draper, a lonely man, no family, no friends. He lived there alone for decades. Then one day, in 1987, Eugene disappeared. No note, no body, nothing. Police searched the entire house, but they never checked beneath the basement floor. 20 years later, new owners began renovating the basement. They broke through the concrete floor and found a wooden box buried underneath. Inside were journals, photographs, personal belongings, and a set of house keys. Eugene's keys. He had never left. Mr. Calloway looked at me and quietly said, "Every family that moved in after that heard the same thing. 3 knocks from the basement, every night, at 3 a.m. That night, I went home and sat alone in the kitchen, trying to convince myself there had to be an explanation. Then I opened an old kitchen drawer and found a black and white photograph. A man standing in front of the house, smiling. On the back it read, Eugene Draper, October 1951. I stared at the photo, and then I noticed something that made my blood run cold. Behind Eugene, barely visible through the basement window, was another face, looking out. Eugene wasn't alone in that house, and whatever was down there with him is still there now. I moved out the very next morning, sold the house back to the county for $1. I never returned, but sometimes, late at night, I still hear 3 knocks, and I don't know how.